In today's video, I'm going to help you understand if 2022 is a bad year to retire. Hey everybody, I'm James Canal, founder of Root Financial Partners, and I'm here to teach you what you need to know to create a secure retirement. It's no secret, this has been an absolutely horrible year for the stock markets. The first half of this year, the S&P 500 was down about 20%. The NASDAQ was down about 30%, and a lot of people who are hoping to retire are asking themselves, is it a bad decision to retire in 2020 amidst all of this uncertainty, amidst inflation at highest levels it's been in 40 plus years, in the midst of stock markets going down and who knows how much longer they'll go? In today's video, let's explore that. Let's explore whether 2022 is a bad year for you to retire or not. Well, in doing this, there's three things that I want to walk you through. There's three simple things you can look at to see if this is a good year or a bad year for you to retire. Number one, the first thing we want to look at has nothing to do with the stock market. It has everything to do with your income sources. When you're retiring, your biggest challenge is going to be how do you replace your income that your salary used to provide. Now, you don't need to replace the entirety of your old salary, but you do need to replace enough of it to cover the expenses that you're going to have. So before we look at your portfolio, before we look at the stock market, before we look at inflation, before we look at all those other things that go in this decision, start with your income sources. Look at things like Social Security. Look at things like pension. Look at things like rental income. Understand how those income sources have changed. The reason for that is this is going to be the first layer of income for you that's going to help you support your retirement needs. Now, when you look at things like Social Security, the great thing is this hasn't been impacted by the S&P 500 or by the NASDAQ or by any of the global stock markets. In fact, just the opposite. With inflation going up, Social Security had the largest cost of living adjustment it's had in a very long time. So when you're looking at retirement, if, to use a very simple example, if all of your expenses are going to be covered just by Social Security, then 2022 is just as good a year to retire as any other year. It doesn't really matter what your portfolio is doing or what the market's doing or what anything else is doing. If Social Security covers everything, you have your needs met. Now, for most people, it's not going to cover everything. But what you need to understand is how much of your needs are going to be covered not just by Social Security, but other things as well. Pension, rental income, Social Security, maybe some part-time work. Understand what sources of income do you have before you even have to dip into those investments that have been impacted by the stock market so you know what base you're starting from. This is crucial because this will help you understand what role your portfolio plays in this and what impact a downturn in the stock market will have on your portfolio as an income source. The second thing you need to look at is your investments. So once you understand the income that you're going to have from other sources, and once you understand how far that's going to go and allowing you to meet your retirement income needs, then we want to look at your portfolio. Because what your portfolio should be doing is it should be playing the role of supplemental income. So income on top of Social Security or pensions or other sources to fill in the gap between what's coming in from those income sources and what you actually need to live on. Now, if your entire portfolio has been invested, say, in large tech companies and has been hit 30, 40, 50+%, this might be a really difficult year to retire. If you didn't have the proper diversification going into this year, it's hard to say whether your portfolio can support your needs or not. But if your portfolio was invested the right way, if you had the proper diversification, if you did what we talk about in a lot of these videos, so do you have the right balance of conservative investments and the right balance of diversified growth investments, this may still be a great year to retire. What you ultimately need to know is what's the value of your portfolio, how is your portfolio invested, and is it invested in a way, and is there a sufficient balance to be able to supplement the income to add on top of Social Security and other income sources. Even after a 20% decline in the S&P or even after a 30% decline in the NASDAQ, a good portfolio is designed in a way that knows there's going to be downturns in the market. In fact, bear markets are not uncommon at all. We haven't had a real one since 2008. We did have one in 2020, but it was very short-lived and very, very, very limited in terms of the scope of how long they usually last. But bear markets are fairly common. On average, we're going to have one every 5, 6, 7 years or so. So designing a portfolio that's not just okay when times are good, but a portfolio that's going to be okay when times are good, when times are bad, and everywhere in between is going to be crucial for you as an investor so that your retirement goals aren't just based upon how's the S&P 500 doing. So that your retirement date isn't a function of what's the NASDAQ doing today. So if you have the right portfolio structure, if you have the right portfolio balance, and it can sufficiently support and enhance the Social Security income and other income sources that you have, you may still be in a great position to retire, even despite what's happening in the stock market. Now, if your portfolio is too concentrated, if it has taken a major hit, if there's not enough of a balance for you to support your other income sources, this probably isn't a good year for you to retire. Now, there's a question of, should I stay diversified or should I stay too concentrated and wait for recovery? It's impossible to know what the market's going to do next. So I'm always a big proponent of focusing on what you can control. What can you control today? What can you change today to become a diversified investor, to spread out your money properly, to prepare for future retirement? And if you're not there today, what steps can you begin taking to get to that position so that you can retire when the time is right? Now, the third thing that I want to focus on when it comes to should you retire in 2022 is what would bring more peace of mind. Now, I'm curious, and I want you to comment below. Would you retire in 2022 or would you not? Comment below and let me know why, and I would love to respond to those. Now, the third thing that you should focus on is peace of mind. You could be in a wonderful position with income. You could be in a wonderful position with your portfolio. You could be in a wonderful position where all your ducks are in a row, but still just not feel total peace of mind about retiring in a downturn like we're experiencing right now. If that's the case, if you enjoy work, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you're still able to do the things that bring you most joy and contentment, wonderful. At the end of the day, good financial planning is about increasing quality of life. Don't force retirement if you'd feel more comfortable working a little bit longer until the stock market's recovered or until things seem a little bit more stable. Now, that's not an excuse to time the market and try to do different things, but it's perfectly fine to extend or delay retirement time horizons because of what you're feeling in the stock market and just the environment as a whole. Now, if you're not in a position to make this happen, well, you certainly shouldn't. But what we're looking at here is even if you have the quantifiable things done, your investments are in order, your income's in order, your tax strategy's in order, your social security strategy's in order, if you don't have peace of mind, this isn't a good year to retire. I have plenty of clients who are ready to retire and they're in a good position to retire even despite the downturn. And they're saying, you know what, I'm just going to feel better about working a few more months. Or I'm going to feel better about working part-time and not fully calling it quits and having to dip into my portfolio quite yet. For them, they don't need to do it, but it's something that adds to quality of life. So that's an important factor that we cannot discount. How would you feel retiring now? If you would feel good just knowing that, hey, the financial things are taken care of and I can do this, wonderful. This may be a great year to retire. But if you'd feel better, saying, you know what, I want to wait to see what happens with inflation. I want to wait to see what happens with the stock market. I want to wait to see what happens with the economy. That's perfectly fine as well. Understand there is a risk and there's a trade-off, and there is a risk to working too long. And even once you've hit that position of having enough, if you keep working, there's the sacrifice of what are you giving up to do so. But making sure that you feel peace with your decision is really important. So in the end, is 2022 a bad year to retire? Well, if your whole plan and your whole strategy is based upon what the S&P 500 is doing or based on what the NASDAQ is doing, this may be a horrible year to retire. But if your plan for retirement is based upon things that are within your control, you're invested the right way, you have an income strategy, you have a tax strategy, you have a withdrawal strategy, if everything's in order and you're prepared properly for this time, this could still be a wonderful year to retire. So in summary, if your plan is based upon external things outside of your control, this is going to be a tough time for you. If your plan is based upon things within your control and things that you do have full control over, this could be a wonderful time to retire despite what's going on externally. Now, even if this is a great year for you to retire, it's crucial that you know where to pull funds from first so that you don't run the risk of pulling from the wrong place when stock markets are down. Be sure to check out the video above if you want to make sure that you're pulling money from the right place at the right time. Thanks for watching. This is James Knoll with Root Financial Partners. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to share it with someone else who you think would benefit from this information. And also, please be sure to like and subscribe for more content just like this. Finally, if you'd like to see how we help clients create a secure retirement, be sure to check out our website at rootfinancialpartners.com.